Let's be honest, not every bad guy actually deserved their fate. Some were just broken and misunderstood. Here are the villains who deserved better, starting with Pitch Black from Rise of the Guardians.
I'd say sweet dreams, but there aren't any left.
We all know Pitch as the creepy boogeyman, the guy who haunts children's dreams. At first, he seems like the obvious bad guy. Dark, dramatic, hiding in the shadows, trying to cover the world in nightmares. Classic villain motives, except there's actually a reason behind it. All he ever wanted was for children to believe in him. And he's up against Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, and the Sandman. A whole team of magical beings who exist because kids believe in and love them. Their entire purpose comes from that belief. But Pitch is different. He represents fear, a real and natural emotion every child experiences. Instead of being included, he's treated like something that shouldn't exist at all. The Man in the Moon chooses guardians to protect children, and he never chooses Pitch. He's left out and slowly forgotten. Like the other guardians, belief affects his power and influence. If children stop fearing him, he loses his place in their world. So when he spreads nightmares, it isn't evil for fun, it's desperation. And the guardians fight him for it, even though they face the same fate if children stop believing in them. Sandman gives good dreams and Pitch gives bad ones, but they both exist in the same place inside a child's mind. One is praised, the other is treated like a monster. What Pitch really needed wasn't to be defeated. He needed to be accepted. He could have been a guardian of caution, kind of fear that keeps a child safe from danger. Instead, they try to erase him completely. And at the end, that's what happens. Children stop fearing him. They stop believing in him. His own nightmares turn against him. He's dragged away by the very things he once controlled. What makes it more tragic is that he wasn't always fear itself. In the books, before he became Pitch Black, he was Cosmodus Pitchener, a hero who guarded imprisoned nightmare creatures. But they manipulated him through his love for his daughter. He didn't choose darkness for power. He fell while trying to save his child, and that transformed him into the Nightmare King. Pitch isn't driven by cruelty. He uses fear to survive, but what he actually wants is belief. The same thing every guardian gets freely. Pitch feared being forgotten, but someone who couldn't forget what he was promised was Tai Lung from Kung Fu Panda.
What I ever did, I did to make you proud!
Tai Lung is probably the perfect example of what happens when adults build a child around a destiny and then take it away. Shifu didn't just train Tai Lung. He raised him for one purpose. From the time he was a cub, every lesson pointed to one promise, that he was special, that he was the chosen one. Becoming the Dragon Warrior wasn't just his dream, it was his identity. So he dedicates everything to it, trains harder than anyone, believing he's fulfilling his purpose. Then one day Oogway looks at him and says, Oogway sensed darkness in his heart, but Tai Lung never understood why. There was no explanation or guidance. Tai Lung didn't just lose a title, he lost his purpose. Shifu, the father figure who raised him on that promise, just stands there and accepts it. No wonder he rampages through the valley. After that, he's imprisoned for 20 years, believing that the Dragon Scroll will prove he was right and worthy. And when he escapes, he defeats the Furious Five, reaches the Jade Palace, and after decades of suffering, finally opens the Dragon Scroll. And it turns out to be blank. There was no secret power in the scroll and no chosen one. The thing he destroyed his life chasing was never destiny. It was belief and self-acceptance, something no one ever taught him. Po receives guidance, patience, and acceptance. The things Tai Lung never got. Po is allowed to grow. Tai Lung was expected to already be perfect. In the end, Tai Lung is sent to the spirit realm because he was raised on a promise no one handled responsibly. If someone had taught him self-worth instead of destiny, he could have been a hero. Instead, he became the villain they accidentally created. Tai Lung was raised to believe he was destined for greatness, but Nuka, on the other hand, was never made to feel important at all.
Why does he need us? I never even had a chance.
And he might have one of the saddest endings in any Disney movie. He's what happens when a child grows up without real love. Unlike Scar, Nuka doesn't want a throne. He isn't obsessed with power. All he wants is recognition, specifically from his mother, Zira. To him, being useful is the only way to be loved. He's the oldest cub in Zira's pride, but that never matters because she's completely focused on Kovu. From the beginning, Nuka grows up watching another cub receive the attention and praise he desperately wants. Zira never values him. Every ounce of her energy goes into preparing Kovu to defeat Simba. Nuka spends his childhood trying to be noticed. So, he tries harder. He volunteers for dangerous tasks, throws himself into risky situations, hoping she'll finally say she's proud of him, but it never happens. Even the other lions don't take him seriously. He's basically an outcast in his own pride. Throughout the movie, he keeps pushing himself into more danger, not because revenge matters to him, but because he believes the only way he can earn his mother's approval and stay close to her is by proving himself. And that's what ultimately kills him. During the ambush against Simba, Nuka makes one last desperate attempt to prove himself.
I'll do it for you, mother!
The plan falls apart. A pile of logs collapses and crushes him. As he lies dying, his final word is sorry to his mother.
I'm sorry, Mother. I tried.
His biggest fear wasn't death, it was disappointing her. And only after he's gone does Zira finally show real emotion. Nuka spent his life wanting attention. He finally got it, but far too late. He wasn't fighting for a throne, he was fighting to feel important. And he deserved to feel that long before his final breath. Nuka spent his life trying to earn love that was handed to someone else. And sometimes that's all it takes to become the villain. Which brings us to Lotso.
What you dummies try to think? We're all just trash, waiting to be thrown away.
Probably the one on this list most people would say got what he deserved. Because yeah, he did some awful things. He ran Sunnyside like a prison, manipulated other toys, almost let everyone die in an incinerator. But villains aren't born strawberry-scented dictators, they're made. Lotso started as the nicest toy in the world. He belonged to a little girl named Daisy, and that relationship meant everything to him. Then during a road trip, he gets left behind. He spends days trying to find his way home. And when he finally does, Daisy has already replaced him. To a child, that's normal. To Lotso, it meant he was never special. He was replaceable. That moment changes him. So when he ends up at Sunnyside, he builds a system where new toys are sent to the toddler's room, and the older ones live comfortably only if they obey him. He believes no toy should ever depend on a child again. Is it twisted? Absolutely. But in his mind, the world already proved itself cruel. Better to control everything than risk that pain again. Then Woody and the gang show up and challenge that belief, insisting growing up doesn't erase a toy's worth. But Lotso can't accept that, because it would destroy the worldview he built to protect himself from the pain of being abandoned. When Woody risks his life to save Lotso at the incinerator, this should have changed him, because for the first time since Daisy, someone shows him he still matters. But Lotso still chooses to betray them.
Where's your kid now, Sheriff?
Not because he's pure evil, but because he's emotionally stuck in the moment he was replaced. Accepting Woody's kindness would mean admitting he ruined lives over a lie he told himself. In the end, he ends up tied to the front of a garbage truck like a disposable decoration, the very fate he feared most, becoming trash. That's what makes his story tragic. Before Daisy forgot him, he was loyal and loving. He didn't start broken, he became broken. He doesn't get a pass for the cruel things he did, but you can see the path that led him there. Lotso was broken by one moment he couldn't move past, and the bowler hat guy built an entire personality around it.
Take responsibility for my own life or blame you. Ding, 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 ding. Blame you.
Before he was the bowler hat guy, he was just Goob. Goob and Lewis grow up in the same orphanage, both unwanted. They start from the exact same place. But while Lewis stays up all night inventing, trying to make the world a better place, Goob pays the price. Night after night, he can't sleep, exhausted because Lewis keeps him awake working on inventions. This leads to the baseball incident where Goob falls asleep during the game and misses the winning catch, which results in him getting blamed and beaten up by his teammates. And that breaks him completely. But instead of moving forward, he fixates on his mistake. He spends most of his life alone in the orphanage, believing Lewis ruined his life instead of taking accountability. Goob builds his identity around resentment. Blaming someone gives his suffering meaning. Because of that, he never gets adopted. Meanwhile, Lewis eventually finds a family, love, and success. Everything Goob thinks was stolen from him. So Goob makes it his life's mission to ruin Lewis' future by ruining his past. That's when he meets Doris the Hat and becomes the bowler hat guy. And that only feeds his loneliness. She gives him something he's never had before, a purpose. But even that one thing he trusts, the one he sees as his friend and partner, eventually betrays him. It turns out Doris was using him the entire time.
Just wanted to ruin his future, not this.
In the end, when Lewis takes Goob to the dystopian future Doris created to show him that his revenge only led to destruction, he realizes his mistake. Lewis forgives him and offers him a second chance, but Goob walks away. Because revenge was the only thing giving his life direction. Without it, he's just a lonely man who wasted years hating the wrong person. Goob was just a lonely kid who needed guidance, love, and a family, but instead he chose resentment because it felt easier than accepting the truth. Goob just needed a family not to become the villain, but for Paubert from Zootopia 2, family is exactly the reason he chose villainy.
I'll finally be something in my family. And I'll
finally belong.
Imagine growing up in a crime family where love feels conditional. That's Paubert's life in the Linksley family. All he's ever wanted is validation from them. So everything he does isn't really about protecting family secrets or staying loyal to the Linksley's operations. It's about being seen. It's one long, desperate attempt to finally make his family feel that he matters. And when he gets a chance to prove he's more than the neglected kid of a crime family, he takes the wrong route. Not because he's ruthless, but because he thinks it's his only shot. He genuinely believes that if he could pull off something like this, maybe they'd finally stop treating him like a disappointment. But while he's chasing approval from a family that never truly valued him, he already had what he was looking for. Judy and Gary, they trusted him, included him. They treat him like he's worth being friends with, not a disappointment. For the first time, Paubert actually has real companionship, and he throws it away because their approval isn't the one he's been chasing his whole life, so he betrays them. He poisons Judy, he leaves Gary in danger, just to prove he belongs to a family that never truly valued him.
Can't be different than your family.
I don't want to be different.
And that's the tragedy. He had a chance to build a different identity outside the Linksley name, but he couldn't let go of the old one. Even when he's about to die, he keeps trying to make his father proud, till the very end. And when the Linksleys are finally exposed, he's jailed with them. But even with his family beside him, he still ends up alone. All that loyalty, all those lies, all those bad choices made in the name of proving himself, and none of it gave him what he wanted.